Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Systems Rescue Power Hour, where we build a business that can run without you. I am so glad you're here. Today, we're talking about pipeline setup so your clients can move smoothly through your processes. This is one of those systems that can quietly change everything because when your pipeline is set up well, you can actually see where people are in your process, what needs to happen next, and where things might be getting stuck. But when the pipeline is clunky, or it's too broad, or it's not aligned with your actual process, it creates confusion on both sides for the client and for your team. It creates wasted time and missed opportunities. So today, let's make that simple and easy to understand. So, why do pipelines matter? A pipeline is really just a visual way to track where people are in your client journey. It helps you answer these questions. Where is this lead in the process? What step are they actually on? What needs to happen next for them? Who is the responsible person on your team that's supposed to be taking this action? And is anything stalling out? Now, that kind of clarity is so powerful for your company, and you can't keep it all up here in your head. So many business owners feel like they have every little detail of every lead and every client up here in their head, and it's maddening. And that is exactly when things get dropped. If you can't see the flow, it is very hard to improve it. So I'm going to say that again. If you can't see the flow of clients through your business, it is very hard to improve it. And if your team is trying to manage the process without a clear pipeline, you're building a foundation with huge cracks in it. And you know what that means? People will fall through the cracks. So we're going to map out your real process. Build your pipeline around how your business actually works. And this is so important. And I say this because don't build your pipeline around what sounds impressive. Don't just copy your friend or colleague's pipeline that they're using in their business because it's probably not going to be exactly what you need and it'll just cause more confusion. Build your pipeline around what actually happens in your business. So ask yourself these questions. What happens when a lead comes in? What's the next step right after that contact? What happens after a call? What happens after a proposal is sent or accepted? And what happens after the sale? Because actually, after the sale, that can start a whole new pipeline. That starts a whole new process, doesn't it? Onboarding. Your pipeline should reflect your real client journey. That way, it helps you manage people instead of confusing everyone. All right, so we're going to keep these. This is step two. All right, so I gave you step one, and that was map out your real process. So this is step two if you're taking notes. Step two, keep the stages simple. Use only the stages that you truly need. A pipeline does not need to be really long to be useful. So a lot of people start to feel like, I need to build complexity in here. You don't have to. Keep it simple. In fact, too many stages can create more problems than they solve. A simple pipeline might look like this: new lead, contacted, booked, showed up, proposal sent, and business won. That could be an entire pipeline for you, or won or lost. And then, like I briefly mentioned earlier, you can put people straight from one pipeline into another pipeline. So if you won the business, like I said, you could then put them straight into your onboarding pipeline for onboarding new clients. That would make perfect sense. Separate pipeline. And it's just that easy to follow and to flow people through your company. It's very clear. And That one I just described to you gives you the information you need without overwhelming you. It actually takes things off your mind, off your shoulders. Your shoulders start to, we live like this, right? With our shoulders up when we're really tense and nervous. You can drop your shoulders, you can relax. You know that those new leads are moving through that process and you can see every step of the journey. Step 3, make each change mean something. So give every stage a clear purpose. If people are in a stage, that stage should mean something specific to their journey through your process. For example, contacted means someone has been reached out to and we haven't made contact with them yet, or we have made contact with them. Booked means that appointment is on the calendar. Proposal sent means the offer is out there and we're waiting for the answer back. Won means they became a client, and lost means the opportunity ended. So each of those stages I described for that particular pipeline has an actual meaning. So when you see 7 people in booked, you know by your own experience pretty much how much a new client is worth in your business. And you can even use this pipeline to project future earnings based on your close rate. You know what your close rate is. Let's say I have 10 people with appointment set and I have a 80% close rate. That means if they're all worth $100, if they all close, that'd be 1,000. But I know I'm probably going to make $800 off the people in this pipeline at this stage. So pipelines are so valuable for that reason as well. When each stage has a real meaning, your pipeline becomes so much easier to use. Okay. Step 4, define the movement between stages. Decide what will cause someone to move forward into the next stage. This is where a lot of pipelines get fuzzy. People sit in one stage because nobody on the team has a clearly defined criteria for moving them. All right, so here's what you want to ask when you're looking at how people are going to be moving forward into the next stage. What needs to happen for someone to move from one stage to the next? What action triggers the movement? What is who on your team is responsible for updating it? And is it automated or manual? And of course, this one's my favorite because I love to automate my pipeline as much as I can. If you or someone on your team has to physically go in there with a mouse and click and drag someone into the next step of the pipeline, you're kind of defeating the purpose of using your automated integrated system. So if you can, is the step automated or manual? Sometimes you will have a manual steps in there. The smoother this is, the less likely people are to get stuck. Step 5, use automations to support movement. Let automation help the pipeline work. Automation is like lotion and like motor oil in an engine. It helps things keep moving, keep moving. This is where the system starts really saving you time. You can use automation to move people when they book an appointment into the next stage that they are scheduled. Move them when they respond to an email or a phone call or a text message. You can move them forward out of the contacted into that you offered them an appointment. Move them when they show up for a meeting or an appointment. Move them when a proposal is sent. Move them when a deal is won or lost. All those things can be automated. This reduces manual updates and keeps the pipeline current and reduces the load on yourself and your team. And a current pipeline is much more useful, obviously, than a beautiful pipeline that nobody updates. Step 6, identify bottlenecks. Watch for places where people are getting stuck. Your pipeline can show you where the process is slowing down. So perhaps people are not getting booked, or maybe they're not showing up after they do get booked. Maybe proposals are not being reviewed, or maybe deals are stalling after the first call. This is one of my favorite things about having a pipeline established and set up. You can see where people are are getting stuck in your process. You might predict or know for sure in the past that people, it takes them from the day you meet them until the day you can set up an appointment, 3 or 4 or 5 days. That's your average, let's say. Now you set up this pipeline, they're moving along, everything's happening perfectly. But suddenly people are staying there for a week and 2 weeks, and they're not getting that appointment scheduled. And you can see this visually. You can see how long someone has been in each stage of your pipeline. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in the software here pretty soon. But this is a very great way for you to instantly know, visually see that something has broken in your process. You need to look at your process in this instance and see, maybe you made a change recently, maybe you hired a new person, or you implemented a new SOP, standard operating procedure, and now you see the result. Uh-oh, it caused some disruption in my pipeline. And if without a pipeline, you wouldn't see that. You would just wonder, what's happening? Why are we not getting people converted into appointments? This is such valuable information, because once you see the bottleneck, then you can fix it. But if you can't see the bottleneck, you just know that things aren't working the way you want, then you're going to be stabbing in the dark for what possibly could be the problem, the solution. Without a pipeline, that problem is much harder to spot. Step 7, keep the team aligned. Make sure everyone understands the pipeline on your team. If more than one person is using the system, they need to know what each stage means, when to move someone, what triggers that person to move, how to update notes, because keeping notes on each client is absolutely, we could do a whole training on that, couldn't we? All right, so how to update notes and what action comes next. They need to understand all of those before they start using your pipeline, because if they don't understand all those things, they're going to mess up your pipeline. If the team uses it differently, the whole system gets messy very quickly. Different people on the team are using it differently. So simple instructions and consistently doing the same thing, it matters a lot right here. Step 8, review and refine it over time. You do not, this is not a one and done. You don't build it once and then forget it. You can refine it. You can add stages. You can rename stages. You can do a lot of things with your pipeline. As you actually use it, then you start to discover, okay, this is, we need more clarity here. So we need to add a stage here, let's say. All right, so your process may change. Your offers may change. So that's going to change your pipeline when you change your offers. Your team may change. And so the responsible party on any of these stages is going to change if your team changes. So the pipeline should be reviewed regularly to make sure it still reflects reality. If something feels clunky, simplify it. If something is missing, add it. You don't need anyone's permission to change your pipeline. You just want to watch the results when you do it. If something is not being used, then question whether it needs to stay, or whether you need to tweak the meaning of that stage and what triggers it and who belongs in it. I see a little note from David, and that's so valuable. It is possible to have more than one pipeline in your CRM system, and they can serve different purposes, and you can like daisy chain them. A person can go from your new lead pipeline into your onboarding new client pipeline, And then it can even go then into your referrals pipeline. So one person can move through different pipelines and they can be in more than one pipeline at the same time. So if your pipeline has felt confusing, cluttered, or disconnected from the way your business really works, I want you to know this can absolutely be fixed. And by the way, when you might say, I don't have this software you're talking about, so I don't have a pipeline. You do. If you're in business, you have a pipeline. It could be a really, really inefficient one. If you have business cards, stacks of business cards, and you have lists of people to call and you have spreadsheets, you have a pipeline. And it's probably not working well for you, but you do have a pipeline. And so we really want to help you with that. So here's where you start. Map out your real process. Keep the stages simple. Give each stage a specific purpose. Define the movement, what makes people move into the next stage. Add automation wherever you can. Watch for bottlenecks always. Again, this is not a one and done. You always got to watch that for bottlenecks. Align your team, get everybody on the same page who's going to be touching this pipeline, and always refine it over time. This is how you build a pipeline that helps people move smoothly through the journey instead of getting stuck in the middle. Thank you so much for being here today. We're creating systems that bring clarity, reduce stress, and help you move people forward with confidence. And as we said before, we are building a business that can run without you. So now that is the end of our training for today. And this starts the question and answer period. And see, David put some suggestions in the notes. David, do you want to expand on those now? And then we'll take questions from the people here in the live. And then, of course, I have questions that people sent me by email as well.
Yeah, certainly is. Kind of putting them in there as they came to my mind so I wouldn't forget them. But you had mentioned about the notes piece in the pipeline. And depending on what you need, if you need to standardize to an extent without having to, truly customize them, certain notes can be automated by being added to a contact record through automation. So that's something else to consider when building out your automations to work with pipelines, depending on what you need to do. So maybe if they're moving from one pipeline to another, maybe you want to have a note so you can have it timestamped right there within the note section so you can see exactly when they moved and possibly put some generic or general response as to why they might have been moved. And you also talked about having the SOP document, and I think that's very important because documentation is everything for any business, especially if you want a repeatable process with different team members. But it's also a centralized place, so as things change, you want to update that. So instead of having to answer, the same question from multiple people a gazillion times, you can refer back to the SOP document. So it saves you a lot of hassle and annoyance in that area as well. And I'd also mentioned about the multiple pipelines because you may have different processes you want to track. Because as Rita, as you mentioned, you might have, tracking leads. Well, then maybe they become not just a lead, but a prospect. And maybe you want a different journey for that. Or maybe you keep leads and prospect journey in the same pipeline, but once they become a client, here they are in the onboarding process. And while, yes, you can move the opportunity card pipeline to pipeline, I recommend having a unique opportunity card per pipeline. So that way the original card stays with the original pipeline. So you have all that there for the historical purposes, because in that each pipeline, then you can
Exactly.
mark it as one lost or abandoned.
That's right. And you can trigger that pipeline as soon as they hit one, you can automatically put a new card into another different pipeline for that same person. So that's an excellent suggestion. You don't want to take them out of their current pipeline.
Right, because you want to always, because once you mark, at least I know in Go High Level, once you mark something as one lost or abandoned, because the default filter is just to show you what's open, so it looks like it falls off, but it's still there if you change the filter, so you can see, where they were last at and ended up through that process.
And on that note, of course, it's important because you you preserve your history. You have your data and your history. You can always look back and see everyone who went through that pipeline. So you don't want to remove them. Very, very good point.
Right. And the other thing, like when you create notes, you can create them against that opportunity record. They will still show up in the contact. But I believe now when you look at the note, it will show what it's actually associated with. So you can see what opportunity that note came from too. So that's the other thing why I think it's good to keep our opportunity within a pipeline because, then let's say you win a new client, you move them to your onboarding pipeline. You don't necessarily need all those lead generation notes necessarily following them into the new client
Ah,
pipeline.
very good point. Very good point. And so do we have any questions from people on the call today? Welcome to the live. Okay. All right. Well, if you think of questions while we're talking, you just raise your digital hand or pipe right in there and we'll be happy to answer them. So I do want to show you what my pipeline looks like and what some of the pipelines look like in a real CRM system. Okay, Kim. Yeah, I know you will, though. And so when you get a CRM is a client relationship management system, it's a place to keep all your contacts and keep track of all the information you have on them, not just their name and phone number and address. Of course, that's very important, but where you met them, things they're interested in, things they have clicked on to download of yours, if they have attended or registered for your webinars, everything you can think of about them, plus your communications with them. If you send them an email or talk to them on the phone or have text messages, or they chat with your website bot, or they send you a Facebook message, all of that can be captured in your CRM. If you have certain CRMs, I'm talking about some features that are in Go High Level which may or may not be in the CRM that you're using. However, on this show, the Systems Rescue Power Hour, we endeavor to teach concepts that are true of most CRMs. And if you find that we're teaching something that you say, hey, man, I want that. I really want that, and my CRM doesn't do it. Then you talk to us and we'll get you hooked up and we'll help you get it set up exactly the way we're describing. And so here's what I want to show you. The software often comes with um, the systems set up. For example, I'm going to share my screen and show you a basic, I have to find the Zoom. Here it is. A basic pipeline that's already set up for you in Go High Level. And all you have to do is start using it. Okay, so this is one pipe, Go High Level. Oh, I have 1 second. Sorry. Zoom has a new feature that I hadn't seen before, so it popped right up there. All right. This is a very simple new lead. They call it Quick Start Client right here in this drop down where my cursor is pointing. It comes preloaded with from Go High Level. So they give you a place to start, which I love. And it just says new lead here where my cursor is on this first little box where I highlighted in blue. New leads, that's the first stage of this pipeline. And then it goes to contacted and then call requested, meaning we offered them to book a call with us. And this says the call was completed. So in this pipeline, someone will stay in this stage, call requested, until they actually have a call with you, then they would, I'm sorry, this is call attempted, and then this is call completed. So you can track, okay, well, we offered this person a call and they're still sitting here. This these people in this stage, we tried, they may be canceled or they had to reschedule. or we didn't get it scheduled, or at least right now, today, it's not on the calendar. And then you're still pursuing those people to get it rescheduled or scheduled. And then here the call is completed. So you know the people in this stage, what you want to do with them next. You want to move them forward into the buying process. And so then they either buy from you or they don't. And so you have a sold here, and I suggest this one didn't come with it, but then you would have a lost. And the nice thing about
Well, Rita, real quick, if
these,
I can interject, can you
hmm
grab one of those cards and just move it?
yeah. So the cursor changes depending on what you do. Let me just, there. The cursor goes from a grabbing hand, if you can see that in the open area at the bottom, to this selecting tool where it's got the two arrows. And so you can click on that and then just drag it. So if I already talked to him, I,
Well, can you see what's at the bottom of the screen now? The lost abandoned one.
yes,
So that's why I
I
wanted
can
to,
just drag that down there. Yep,
yeah, you can drag it so you don't necessarily need another stage for that. It's just wherever in the
yep,
process, because maybe um, you completed the call, but okay, so nothing's happened yet, so you need to follow up. But let's say you complete the call and then they come back and say, "Hey, we want to buy." You can right then and there move them.
yep.
In fact, actually, if you do move them to sold and then you drag and move it there, it will. If you want to move one, because you can undo it.
hmm
I tested
hmm
this the other day. So if
Move another
so,
one over there.
no, you can use the one you put over there because I'll show you what will happen. If you click it and drag it and say you move it to one.
Oh, one. I see what you're saying. I got it right here
Yep.
at the bottom, all the way at the bottom of the screen.
So it looks like it disappeared. Well, that's
Got it.
because right now the default is this is filtered to open. Well, actually, yours has showed up. It says now it's one. But if you're filtering just by what's open, this wouldn't show on the list, and that's actually the default behavior I've noticed in Go High Level. But I wanted to point that out because I think that was something newer they added in
hmm
the last several months.
Yeah. And speaking of that, all software companies like this should be making constant updates all throughout the year, and you'll see that. You'll open your software, your CRM, and something will look a little different, or suddenly, well, it's like Zoom. Just a minute ago, Zoom had a new feature that I hadn't seen before while I was sharing. So they're making updates all the time, and almost always it makes things better, but sometimes it throws you off a little bit. But having that at the bottom of the screen is really helpful now because it cuts down on how many um, stages I need in my pipeline. So I want to open this up. If I get that up and down arrow again and I just click on this card, it's called a card, that bit of information about that person. There's a whole lot of things I can track right here in this box. This is editing the opportunity. And there's things I can change in here. So if I know that most of my leads as they're coming in are going to probably spend $500 with me, I can assign the value right here of 500 to that lead. Doesn't mean that I sold them anything yet. It's just that's the typical standard value that people spend with me. And so, if I had a pipeline with a bunch of people in all these different stages, and they all had a value of 500 or 1,000 or 300 or whatever is reasonable for what they were interested in, I could, in a glance, see how much money is in my pipeline. And by these stages, you can see when that money is likely to be coming in. How amazing is that? Now, I want to show you a pipeline that a couple pipelines. I built this one is even more simple, and it's because it's designed to be a very specific, very short purpose. I have a group called the Automation Nation, and it is a monthly membership that is paid, and it's training very similar to this, but it is laser focused and individualized, even though it's a group. and you get more attention from me. And we have office hours every week, and you can bring a specific question. You get to share your screen, and I will help you unbottleneck whatever's going on for you in that call. So this is my pipeline for that. And this is just for sample today. I'm going to have real people in my actual pipeline. But I invited someone to join, so I would have a list of people here. They made the payment. So they started and they joined the Automation Nation. At this point, they made the payment. I put them into the welcome email series. So at this point, activity in the pipeline then can trigger a automated workflow sequence where several emails and text messages are going to go out. Again, maximizing the benefit of having your automation and having this set up for you because you don't have to figure this out yourself. And then once I invite them to the 10 to 15-minute call, that's going to push them into, or that's going to put them into this other pipeline that I have, which takes them through a 10-minute, 10 to 15-minute call, and then offers them a strategy call, a 2 hour strategy call. So one pipeline is bringing them in and onboarding them into Automation Nation. That same pipeline then puts them into this when I offer them a 10 to 15-minute call. They're going to jump right into this stage right here, 10 to 15-minute call offered. They just jump right in there because they came in from a different pipeline. And from here, then I know I'm going to attempt to get that 10 to 15-minute call scheduled. And from there, I want it completed, and people are moving through this process to move from the 10 to 15-minute call where I diagnose some issue that they have and we're ready to start working on it. And then I offer them a strategy session, and then we schedule the strategy session here. And then I have to send them this assessment as part of the strategy session. It has to be done before the strategy call. So I have to watch, and I have my system watching for that to be finished and reminding them if they haven't finished it on time. And then as soon as that's done, then they need to complete this custom questionnaire. So there's two things, very important things, and they take 1 to 2 hours to get done. So these need to be done before the meeting. So then when that custom questionnaire is completed, then they can move into this step where my team and I prepare the materials for the strategy session. Then here's the thing. I made separate steps here. The materials are being prepared here. And then this tells me the materials are completed. Again, we have to watch the time frame because if those materials stay in progress for too long and don't get to the completed stage, then the appointment is going to be looming upon us. And this is required to make a successful 2 hour strategy session. So this type of pipeline is so, so valuable for time management, supervising your team, watching that process again, making sure those things are happening on time. So once the strategy session is completed, then if there's follow-up needed, they fall into here. And then we have closed won or closed lost. And now that Go High Level has that tray in the bottom now, we don't have to use these, but I do like the visual of who belongs in there. So that's some of how Go High Levels pipelines look. And again, depending on the software that you're using, yours is going to look very similar. A pipeline will always have stages, and then, as far as I know, they all move left to right across your screen like that. They all have a lot of flexibility, or should have a lot of flexibility on what you track and how you trigger people to move. The most important part of your pipeline in your CRM is, I feel like it's a really important part, might not be the most important part, but that you can trigger people to move through the pipeline without a physical click and drag of the mouse. You need to be able to let people move forward in the pipeline based on things they do or don't do so that it reduces the workflow. That's the purpose of all this automation and all these systems is to reduce the workflow on you and your team. All right. So,
So
question.
Rita, something else real quick about the pipelines, and I know this is probably more go high level specific, but it's possible others do this as well. There's actually like when you're going to build out your pipeline and you're building your stages, you can actually specify like a percentage per stage of the likelihood they may close.
Hmm,
And the reason I point this out because I noticed you don't have it yet, but at that opportunities menu at the top, there's a new button that would be to the right of opportunities called forecast. So there's a new forecast tab that will then use a lot of that data and help you forecast how much business you may actually close based on where people are.
that, yes, naturally, once they booked the strategy session, then that probably, that skyrockets the likelihood that they're going to then purchase my 90-day turnaround plan. So I love that. That's fantastic. Okay. So
Yeah.
Kim thought of a question. Go ahead, Kim, and you can unmute.
Okay, so David previously had said that his appointments are open 24 hours after a person kind of logs in to make an appointment, and I love that idea because if they want to make appointment the same day, then you're kind of like scrambling or whatever, or like, oh, well, I had something on the calendar that didn't, whatever. So, but if you said that sometimes you want to send somebody something prior to them meeting at the appointment. So if that's the case, then how long do you think that you would leave before they could make the appointment? In other words, like, would you leave 2 days or whatever so they can look at the information, or I don't know.
Okay, so you're talking about when they use the booking calendar
Yeah.
and they have to book so far in advance. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So if you need to actually give them something that they need to read or look over before meeting with you, how much time would you give them?
That's personal preference. I mean, irregardless, I want at least 24 hours notice when someone books. So even if I give them material they need to review and then come back and book, you still got to give me 24 hours notice regardless of when I gave you the material.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking maybe they book and then the material is sent out for them to, but
Yeah,
you're
you
saying
can
you
do it
send
that
out the
way.
material first. So I like that as well. So,
Yeah, I mean, you can even have it where if they book, depending on if it's, set material that's not customized, you can have an automation deliver it to them once they book as well. I mean, just keep in mind if they need to review it so much time before, that needs to be specified in order for the have a productive meeting. So
right.
just kind
Okay.
of think
Yeah.
about how that should be. Do you want them to be have reviewed and be comfortable with that before they book to ensure, they've looked at it now they can book and they've they've seen it, or do you let them book, send them material, and hope they've booked far enough out that they have time to review it?
Well, and
Right.
you
So
can do a
actually,
combination.
yeah, and I like the idea of, you know, instead of them booking ahead because you don't know how long it's going to take them. I mean, you can
Right.
figure out what the average time would be for to look at the material, but to actually have them grab the material first, look at it, and then book the appointment. So I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, because you can even do something just real quick. That you can start a process where it's like, okay, maybe they fill out a form because they want to meet with you, but you got to review material. You send them the material, and then maybe wait a day, and then you can send a follow up. It's like, okay, hopefully you've reviewed the material. If you have, here's the link to actually go book. So you could do something
Okay.
like that too.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
And even in that email, you could have two buttons, and one says, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. And the other one says, I've looked at it and I'm ready. And then they can click that one. That way they're giving you feedback to say, haven't looked at it yet. That's an indication to you that they're still interested. Whereas if they don't
Right.
click at all, then that tells you something else, right?
Sure.
So
Okay. Thank you.
I love that. And see, that is a part of a process that can really tie you up in knots, take a lot of your mental and focus and attention away from other areas in your business. And it is so manageable. And you can use your system to let that person, that lead, give you that feedback and let them manage at their pace so you don't feel like you're harassing them. So many business owners say, well, I feel like I'm harassing people. I don't want to upset them. And so this way you're giving them that avenue that they can give you feedback as well. I love that. All right, so here is a question that I got in the email. And it was from Daniel, not this Daniel, a different Daniel from New Hampshire. And he was asking, he knew that pipeline training was coming up. And he said, look, how many pipelines do I really need? Because he thought you just have a pipeline. And so we touched on this a couple moments ago, that you can have more than one pipeline. And so what is the suggested? Again, simplicity is the most important thing. Okay, I've just decided the most important thing in a pipeline is simplicity and the fact that you and your team will use it, right? So you don't have to have one pipeline that measures and solves every possible scenario. You don't want that. It gets to be kludgy and really hard to manage. It creates confusion among your team and it does not serve the client to do it that way. So I just showed you a couple of pipelines that I have. One is for a specific product that I sell that naturally leads people into the 10 to 15-minute call. Then I have a separate pipeline that takes new leads through the 10 to 15-minute call through to the strategy session. And even after the strategy session, then they move into the my 90-day solution onboarding because they generally, once the strategy session is done, then they want to actually implement what we said we could do to drastically transform their business and their lives. And so they move straight into that onboarding once they purchase that 90-day solution, straight into that next pipeline onboarding, which I did not show you. So you can have multiple pipelines. Again, remember in the training, I said make sure every stage has a purpose and a meaning. And with having multiple pipelines, you want every pipeline to have a very specific reason why you built it. And it it's moving people through a process. And if you have different products, different product lines as well. So also, if you have a series of webinars that lead up to you offering them something to buy, then you may want to track if they registered for the webinar, if they attended the webinar. It's a whole nother pipeline that you can use to measure your process. And um, I hope that answers your question, Daniel from New Hampshire. And so, David, I've said David, Daniel, David. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think you mostly covered it. Just obviously, I always tell people, think about your business processes. Sit down and map them out on paper first. Always start there. Because once you can visually see, you'll then understand how you might want to build things out or break them up into maybe smaller chunks. Because as the example we gave earlier, you may want a pipeline specifically for the lead process until up to the point, they become a client. When now they become a client, you may have a separate pipeline with a new opportunity card to track their onboarding process. And then from there, like you said, you could have stuff for webinars, I mean, it just depends on what does your business do. Or, are there certain things, once they are a client that maybe periodically you need to do? Are there, repeating processes that you do? Like,
Yeah, like a quarterly review.
yeah, I was about to say, like, do you have a quarterly meeting with your clients? So, okay, maybe you have a pipeline that they cycle back through, or you just put a new opportunity every time. Okay,
Mhm.
it's time to, reach out. You have it in the deal. Okay, you need to reach out. Did you reach out and move it on through?
Yeah, perfect. And if you're going to change your pricing or you're going to launch a new product line, a pipeline is perfect for that. So you make sure every one of your appropriate clients who would need or want that is notified and you work them through that process as well. And again, the pipelines become they're very important when you're the only person in your business because it helps you stay focused and organized. And they're equally important when you have team members because it has everybody doing the exact same thing with every client at every stage, and it's measurable. You can see what happened. If someone calls you and you're the owner of the company, and someone calls you on the phone and says, I got horrible service from your company and I'm really upset, and they're telling you all about it, which is, of course, what you want to happen. You want for them to tell you. You want to be able to look back in that activity on that client record and know who touched them at what point. You can look at the notes. You can see how they progressed through the pipeline. In fact, David, let's show them that communication module where you have some pipeline movement in there. And so we can show them how you can look back at, yeah, are you,
Eh,
I know I put you on the spot.
No, no,
I
I was going
have,
to ask, are you talking like an automation or an actual pipeline?
no, actually in the contact record in the communication section where the pipeline stage movements show up there.
Ah, ah, oh,
Yeah. So this is when I was referring earlier to the fact that you can see in one place phone calls and text messages and emails, and even if they're talking with your chatbot on your website or they send you a Facebook uh, Messenger message, or if their pipeline changes, or if they schedule an appointment, or if they purchase something, all of those things show up in one place on their contact record. So you're not chasing all around inside the software looking for this kind of data. It is all in one place. And again, if your software doesn't do that, then you may want to chat with us because this is Go High Level and this software will show you all of those things in one place.
okay. So I've got a opportunity box open. Are you wanting to see how everything
No, I'm
shows?
talking about the contact record.
Okay, so you actually want to go to contact record. Okay.
And you can do that from here, by the way. He's in the
Yep.
pipeline and he has their opportunity card open. You can click once and be right into their where all the data is stored about that individual person. So right here in the middle of the screen is where I'm referring to. This is where all of the communications activity is stored for that one person. And it's coming up.
And yeah, it's just been slow today.
It has, and then whenever you're on Zoom and you're sharing, it slows everything down as well. So we're able to see past phone calls, past text messages, emails, and opportunity movement through the pipelines. There in the middle of the screen, in the middle section of the screen. All right, so these are emails.
Yeah, this one's pretty much just gonna have emails. I don't.
Oh, before you go though, quickly, we can see if they opened the email or not. And it looks like
Correct.
some of these they didn't open
Yep.
yet.
Here's one that shows they did.
Okay, good. Just that tiny little indicator, but it's so nice to be able to see that they did open it. And
Yeah.
it tracks when they opened it.
Yeah, and if this would actually fully load, when I hover, it would actually tell you the current status.
So, in here, so we see for this particular person just emails, but if there were phone calls, text messages, if their pipeline stage changed, moved, if they entered another separate pipeline, if they interacted with your website bot, if you have it through this system, it would track that here. And I love that it's just one place because so many times in my business in the past, I have, you just waste so much time just trying to figure out, okay, I have the answer. Someone asked me this question a couple days ago. I found the answer. I'm so excited. I want to tell them the answer. And now I have to figure out where is this person talking to me? And then you chase around to the different areas. Was it a text? Was it an email? Were they talking to my chatbot? Was it in Facebook Messenger? And you have to move to these different areas to find the conversation. What a waste of time. Whereas in this software, it's all in one place, all in one chronological representation. You got a different one?
Now just reloading the page because I want to pull up the
Ah,
activity.
there you go.
So, you can see like when they view certain pages. So, yeah, and this is a particular page. This was actually a landing page or funnel page built right within Go High Level, so you can easily see that. But even if I put like a chat form on my non-Go High Level website that I have, it will capture that information as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that about the chat bot. The
yeah,
chat bot is originated from Go High Level. That's
right.
why.
Well, chat or forms or anything.
Forms, true, when they register for something. So,
Yep.
for example, everyone here has registered on a form that I created in Go High Level. So you can get the Zoom link for this live, everyone who has ever come to the live. And every week you get a reminder that, hey, it's happening again. And that form is going to show up on that person's contact record over there on the right-hand side, just like David was showing us.
Yep. So see, now that I refresh, when I hover, this just says delivered. If I were to go
There.
back and find the one that was right here, it would say opened.
Ah, perfect. So many great things about having a CRM, having the integration with, for example, this software and many, many of them, the ones that are robust and valuable for running a business. You can integrate your calendar and your Zoom account so someone can book a meeting with you and it assigns a Zoom link and it does all that for you behind the scenes. This is so valuable. It keeps so much information for you so you don't have to have it in your head and so people don't fall through the cracks. You stop losing leads, they don't go cold because you're staying in touch with them. You know where your business is in a healthy or if it's not in a healthy state by looking at your pipelines and looking at your payments that have come through. You can also run payments through the software and it's it's a lifesaver for me. I'll tell you when I found the system to run my photography business. That's how I got here to where I am today. For 12 years, I had a photography business, professional photography, and a day job. And part of that time, also a part-time job. And it, I was never able to get my photography business to make enough money that I could quit my day job. So all I wanted to quit my day job, run a business, support myself and my family, and call the shots, right? Make all the decisions, serve people at the highest level possible for me. But having a full-time day job, 9 hours every day, I couldn't run my business. So I ran my business at night and on the weekends. And so I say that my how did that go? Very well. My employer got the best of me. My business got the rest of me, and my family got the crumbs that were left over. And yet they still love me. So that went on for 12 years until I found the software that would do all these things for me while I was at work. Because, of course, 100%, when you are on the clock with your employer, you do not run your business. It is forbidden. It is not ethical. It's not professional. So, whenever I was at my employer, I couldn't run my business. But when I found the software, it was helping people. It was letting people book sessions with me. They could pay for their session. So I had money coming in. I had appointments coming on my calendar. I was able to answer all of those questions that people ask over and over and over, the same questions for photography sessions, able to answer them while I was at work. And I didn't lift a finger and I didn't use an ounce of mental energy to do this. And when I found that software and I implemented it, of course, you can't just buy it, you have to implement it. I quadrupled my profit, not just my revenue, my profit immediately. And as soon as that happened, I realized, oh my gosh, I have to tell the whole world about this. There's so many business owners that don't know that there is software that will do this for you. And I feel like I am on a mission. This is my mission. I'm on a mission to eradicate the statistic that 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And I firmly believe that a huge reason for it is, well, the biggest reason is they run out of money before they can actually make more money, right? That's the true reason. The reason that happens is they're trying to do way too many things at one time. You're one person, you're trying to wear 17 hats, and you're trying to do all things, touch every single client at every step of their journey. And it is a recipe for disaster and burnout and destroying your health, possibly destroying your relationships. And my mission is to just make sure everyone knows that this solution is available to you. A lot of people I talk to, they need it. They say, yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I say, great, more power to you. Knock yourself out. I told you, you heard the message. You're not going to use it. That's fine. And I honestly, I don't care if you buy anything from me or not. If you hear the message and you act and you buy a software and you don't ever speak to me again, but you start using it and your business thrives, I'm happy. My mission is to make sure that your business does not have to close or that you don't lose your health or your family relationships because you wanted to be an entrepreneur and you wanted the same freedom that I wanted. And that freedom turned into a jail cell for you. And you traded a 40-hour a week job for a 120-hour a week job and you have a horrible boss because you're always stressed out. So that's my mission. And that's one reason that I do this training every week. I want to give you the tools that you need to be successful without me. If you want to hire me and work with me, that's fantastic. I'm a big hand holder. I love to hold your hand. That sets me apart from many of the other people that know how to do what I know how to do, because generally it takes longer when you are hand holding. It always takes longer whenever you're working with someone versus just doing it yourself. I can get in your software and click, click, click. I can have it done in 1/3 of the time that I can if I'm teaching you and showing you every step of the way. But I love that part of it. I love to teach the business owner and show them why this is important, what's happening next, how we got here. So, because you have to be able to inspect what you expect. So, if you're hiring someone to build these things for you in your system, you need to know the outcome that you're looking for. You need to know what should happen when they say, okay, it's done, I built it, and then they move on down the road. And you also need for them to give you documentation. These are the tags that I created, these are the pipelines that I built, this is how it works. And so those kind of things don't happen with a lot of people. They want to get in, get it done, they build it correctly and it works, and then they're gone, they're moving on because they want to work with the next client. So that's one thing that clients tell me they love so much about working with me is that I'm patient and kind and supportive and encouraging because this is not your fault. If your business is not running well and you're getting overwhelmed and you don't have really feel like you have a life outside of the business, that's not your fault. You're just trying to do way too many things and you don't have a system that's going to support you like the one that we've been describing here today. So, if that sounds like something you would like, then just click this QR code and you're going to get information about registering for this training. And then we can have a 10 to 15-minute call. That's the pipeline I showed you, the 10 to 15-minute call. And then we'll know exactly what to do in your strategy session. All right. So, any more questions? All right. We're good. David, did you have anything else that you thought of that you want to add to the pipeline training?
Nope, nothing else.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you for being here, everyone, and I'll see you in another episode of the Systems Rescue Power Hour, where we are building a business that can run without you. Bye bye.